welcome to the Fluid Voice. I am Ozma in the Dark, still rocking the she/they pronouns. I am doing all right, just to preempt things. How are you doing, Christy?
I'm doing fairly well.
Okay. Still using
Mentally.
she/her?
And I'm still she/her. Yeah. I have no makeup on today. You couldn't tell, I'm sure.
And today our guest is Cuppa Joey. How are you doing, Joey?
Hello, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm doing a-okay, and I'm rocking he/him pro. Well, I don't know if I'm rocking them as opposed to, I've just clipped them on as an accessory for fun.
Fair.
Not doing too bad, not too bad.
I'm absolutely raving them, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and this, by the way, is a pre-recorded episode. Just to, if I don't interact with chat, that's why. Also, in general, you can always like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. And with that, we will go to our topic tonight, which is lost childhood, which is an interesting topic that's very... I almost is just like, yeah, it's very trans. But I mean, obviously, lots of people have lost childhoods for various reasons. But
tragic backstories are very trans.
I mean, yes.
You get any two queer people together. Tragic backstory is about to happen.
Yeah, and told as a funny story.
So, like, I'm just remembering that I just talked with Christy a few days ago about something that's good to do, which is to open up that document I have just in case I ever need it. But that said, like, I don't know, what are your... Actually, with us, I might as well just be like, what's your guys' experience with lost childhood?
Well, one of the things that I can only talk about my experiences.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it is for everyone else, but I know others that feel this way as well, that when you look back on what happened when you were as a kid, and that could be any memory. I'm not talking about, sort of tragic trauma memories, I mean anything, like even a nice sort of trip to the beach. Like, does it feel like that wasn't you in a way, and that you were just kind of on the outside watching someone who looked completely different to how you were, just going about, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's I played that character in The Last Save. It's like that kind of that kind of feel towards it. Like, I know that back when I was a kid, I use she/her pronouns, and I was happy to do so because I had been told I was a girl. I'd never been told that I could be anything else. It was just, you have this anatomy, so you're a girl, that's it. And so I thought, oh, okay, that's my lot in life. I've got to accept that. And because I was just going along, it was only after the realization happened that you can actually be something else, like not even that trans people exist, but that I can be one. That as well is a completely different thing. Is that they're not just this separate us and them, it's that we can actually be part of that they're just people, and that I'm just a person and I'm just a trans person. But that just feels so separate to who I was as a kid, even though I know it was still me. Yeah. And I don't know whether anyone else feels that kind of it was you but it wasn't you kind of deal with childhood.
Yeah, I know we're going to talk about philosophy too at some point, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's big news.
We can do that more when we are officially after the first hour, when we can go off topic. That's usually that's probably a good time to just randomly bring that up.
Oh, well, I'm not randomly bringing it up because there was something specific I wrote while because I watched the premiere live, and I don't, 12,000 people. I'm not really gonna chat much. Um, the But I wrote in there, I still think of Christopher as a different person. I just have the same memories. They're just recontextualized, and that was a lot of how that works.
Mm.
Um, I guess for me, it was a little different. So, like, I mean, for two different reasons. One, because I'm like agender half the time, so half the time I don't like care about any
Mm.
of the gender stuff, and I definitely didn't as a kid. I experienced a lot of physical dysphoria. But I separate that from gender.
Yeah,
To a
yeah.
certain
From like the
because gender is a
social
sociological
kind of,
concept,
yeah.
and the physical dysphoria didn't ramp up till my teenage years. And my
Mm.
parents, you know, let us play video game, like didn't care about gender norms with regards to video games or makeup or like playing with Barbie dolls or like a lot of shit that I did. So
Mm.
like because I didn't have that separation, because I wasn't told that I shouldn't play with Barbie dolls or I shouldn't wear makeup and my sisters were never told, that they shouldn't play video games or play sports or any number of things. So it's like because of that, I didn't really feel that sense of loss and dissociation so much with my childhood
Mm.
as much as I did. That didn't really start to happen till like puberty. Just
Right,
say
yeah.
after puberty, then there was a lot of that doesn't the me but not me type feeling.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because yeah, like there was so much dissociation from because I don't know. For me, like physical dysphoria was always like 11. I don't know if it's partially because of um, being on the autism spectrum and touch sensitivity might have ramped
Mm.
it up, but
Mm.
yeah, I ignored, I avoided the fact that down there was a thing psychologically through most of my teenage years. So maybe that also is part of the reason why I can. It doesn't. Yeah, maybe it just doesn't feel completely separate
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I can see how that would make sense, especially as you said that sort of the physical dysphoria was more of a thing. That
Yeah, and like
once
I said, I'm
puberty
agender half the
starts,
time,
the
and
yeah.
it's not like I also don't think about. I didn't really think about relationships much, or have care about getting into one um, so much outside of later on and the whole idea that relationships are something that is expected and supposed to happen. So like there was a lot of different factors that um, made me think not completely not completely act not myself. I mean, there are some things I
Yeah.
did. I mean, there's definitely a lot of pretending to be a guy, but I never like went all the way with
Yeah.
that. It was
I,
like, oh, don't. I didn't like avoided bending my wrists or whatever. Made sure to keep my wrists straighter when I noticed myself starting to do that more. So, um, in around middle school, and I can't think of of the other stuff. There may have been one or two other things, but like, I always cried to sad movies,
Oh.
like, and that I was also like, I don't know, this okay. You know what I'm gonna blame it on? To some degree, there was good parenting.
Yeah, that is definitely what comes into it, because like like one of the things that sort of made me think is that I was never really encouraged to do girly things. I was always told to find my own hobbies, to do what I want, to present how I wanted, but at the same time I was still pressured to be a girl while doing it. So it was a sense that I could be a tomboy, and I remember my mum describing me as a tomboy constantly when I was a kid, and saying that, oh, just like one of the boys, and all that, because, I was going out to the playground going, oh, you think you're hard enough, come here, like trying to prove I was stronger because, oh, that definitely wasn't a sign, and all of those sorts of things. But I still have vivid memories of her saying to me, like, oh, when you get married, and when you're a mum, and when you do this, and when you do that. And of course, none of that was meant for me. I'm going to be a husband, woohoo. So, the whole wedding dress thing is definitely not going to happen, like she kept envisioning 1,000 times. So despite the fact that I was told to absolutely be myself, being a boy was not considered part of being myself. That was just not something I could be. And it isn't, and I don't know necessarily whether that would have been because they sensed transness on me and then thought, oh no, we can't have that. Like, I don't think that that's the case at all. I just think that so many parents of people like us are just not prepared for a trans kid and don't know what to do. Like even my father, who is my biggest ally, like I'm genuinely so lucky to have him. He came along and was like, and watched me on stage as I was shouting out at a trans protest. He is 100% on my side. But even him, when I first came out, he just said, I don't know what to do. I think you're going to need to talk to the doctor about that, because he just panicked. And of course, so many years later, he can see, like, he has a son that's very happy living as a man, and great, I'm so much happier than I ever was before. But that doesn't mean that, the sense of transness that people have in their head, they do see it as this other thing, this different thing, this whole us and them. And because there is the us and them, you don't really think that somebody who is part of us is, like a family member or a loved one, is going to be somebody like that. That's just people that end up on Jerry Springer that have really dramatic lives, which incidentally was the first experience I ever had with trans people, was that. So I think that a lot of it, and again, as we've got more discussions now and there are more visible trans people, like Philosophy Tube, which is great. We're very happy for her. Now that we're having these transgressions, people are starting to, get more involved. I'm actually in a group on Facebook called, Parents and Family of Transgender Teens, where it's basically all these family members who are spilling out their hearts saying, I have a trans kid, I want to support them the best I can, but I just don't know what to do. And I think that comes into it a lot, that it's not necessarily that they don't want us to be trans, although that is there. I won't lie. Even if it's not a conscious, I don't want this person to be trans, there is the idea of it would be easier if you weren't, and honey, I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do think that a lot of it comes into, they don't know how to handle having a trans kid, so they don't tell the kids that they can be trans. It's just, you're a boy or you're a girl, this is the name I'm going to give you, these are the pronouns that I'm going to use for you around everyone, and then they know that that's your gender. You grow up with that expectation put on you, even if they're going to be fine with you being trans in the end, from birth. I was being called she, her. I was given a very feminine name. and the concept of me being trans just it didn't even occur to me. It was just, oh, okay, I'm one of those kids that wants to be a boy. Or no, actually, what I thought, and this is something that I find quite funny, in my freaking trans egg head, the logic that I had was that everyone knew what it was like to be a boy, because being a boy was just a normal thing, and then being a girl was something that I had to be on top of being a boy, which was just normal, and that I hated that I had to do all of these girly things on top of just normality. Of course, I realized that that was just me being annoyed at having to perform a gender that I wasn't. And, you know,
I mean, it is. People have. I've said I do not. I do not know what it's like to be a guy. I just don't. It's never been a thing that. Well, A has been important to me, but it's never been a thing I was.
yeah.
And in the 70s, there was no information. I didn't. In 77. So no, 76 when I was 11. Is when Renee Richards, right? Yeah. The tennis, because I was a big fan of tennis. So when Renee Richards tried to compete in tennis, that I even had a name for it, and it's not a name we use anymore, but you know. So no, I alternate between thinking Christopher is a separate person and also thinking of it as a costume that I put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's one of the reasons I have no problem with the Dead name, because I don't relate to it at all. It's not something that triggers anything in me other than I didn't like that guy.
So,
yeah.
So, for me, two things I want to say. One, you reminded me of Egg. I almost dead named myself. Because my teenage years, I definitely I apply more to my dead name. But that said, and it's mostly my teenage years that I apply the dead name to. But my egg reasoning is that the trench coats in the Matrix are like dresses. Oh, I think there was something in my brain about more guys should wear dresses and skirts, which isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
The irony of it being because of the Matrix as well.
Yeah, I know.
I love that. I just love that.
Yeah, no. There was a lot of wanting to try different things, and once again, like, I like wearing pants. Like, they're like, a lot of the time I wear like girly pants. I prefer that.
I'm wearing jeans right now.
To skirts and dresses a lot of the time. But the other thing is, I definitely didn't know much about the idea of being trans outside of three things. One was the the World According to the Garp, which was the book, which was not great.
You didn't like Roberta?
Well, the book focuses very much on the fact that the trans character will be, like, always a very masculine looking former football dude
Oh,
with balding
great.
hair.
Perfect representation.
Yeah, so that was my first, because I read The World According to Garp in like 7th or 8th grade. The second thing I could think of is some similar to the Jerry Springer thing.
Mm.
With like a trans woman, some other freak show type thing. And then the third being that episode of Just Shoot Me, which wasn't the best trans woman episode, but also because it was played by a cis woman, it just made it seem unbelievable that I would ever look pretty if I transitioned. Like those three things together just like put in my head that I'll either not look pretty if I transition, but also be seen as a freak.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was also gonna say, because like I figured out I was trans when I was like 21, 22, somewhere around there. So like that's why it's like just the teenage years are the worst. And shortly after that, and then a lot of me feeling my being myself more so, even if not in public, but not feeling incredibly helpless for 7 to 8 years. So like that didn't that was just not fun. But I mean, like, that's also why there's only like that period of time, like from age 11 or 12, when I tried to kill myself, and poorly. I did write a suicide note, but I tried to kill myself by I can't remember if it's either like choking myself with a piece of string or smothering myself with a pillow to stop breathing.
Well, let's just be glad it was a poor attempt.
Well, yeah,
and that you're here.
It was a poor attempt, and then like I don't think anyone read the suicide note, and I took it back. So I got to also feel like it was completely ignored.
Yeah.
And then up until, so it was just like, I'll just say 11 to 12 to 21 to 22 is just those 10 years is the area where I really don't apply as much or think of myself as much as as myself or whatnot.
I mean, I was lucky to find my tribe at 14. The Rocky Horror, that helped a lot. Although I got
it's interesting that I actually really got into Rocky Horror shortly around the time I realised I was trans as well. I think that it's just the whole gender bending aspect of it that just draws you in. And this is one of the reasons that I don't understand why people seem to, or why cis people, I guess, think that there is this disconnect between trans men and trans women, or trans masculine, trans feminine, or non-binary, that we all disconnect from each other, because trans women definitely helped me realize I was trans. And I remember being very young, seeing Dana International on the telly, who is a trans woman. It was on Eurovision, because I'm British, I'm European, we're watching Eurovision. And
you're not European anymore.
No, not anymore. I had no say over that. I wanted to stay. but well, they let in Australia, so I think we're still into Eurovision. But I remember watching her and just being told she used to be a man, because that's how it was said, how I was told, and just thinking, you can do that? she, what? I didn't know we could do that. Why did no one tell me? And just like being in awe of this, you know, complete like siren, like this beautiful singing woman, and thinking she's done something that I want to be able to do. Because I remember very strongly feeling those feelings of, I wish I was a boy. Why, you know, I would really love it if I woke up and I was a boy and I could do boy stuff. And then just seeing that there was somebody that had, you know, done that was, you know, told that they were one way or it was actually another. It was like magic for me. It was like being told I could be a wizard, you know. And I remember just being transfixed by her and having this song in my head for ages. So yeah, there is definitely that. As soon as we see something vaguely similar to what we're feeling, even when we're very young, it's like, there it is. I want this.
Oh yeah, but like, well, I mean, even so, like, even when it was in the later egg stages, I didn't really think about. I don't know. I didn't process a lot of the stuff, or I didn't even know how to process a lot of the stuff in the egg phase. Because yeah, I wanted to wake up and be at the very least, you know, the average cis woman primary and secondary sexual characteristics. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I wanted ever since I was at the very least ever since I was a teenager, because teenagers when I thought of it more. I didn't think about it as much as a kid. Not to say that the dysphoria still wasn't there, probably, at least with when it comes to down there, because I obviously didn't think about it, but it's easier to ignore.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid. But like, yeah, it was just I don't know how I didn't think. It's weird looking back, because I didn't know how I didn't think about the trans meta, the whole experience that my favorite anime character of all time for a while, for a long time, uh, Tsukasa from Dot Hack Sign, where this is a person trapped in a virtual world that is and throughout the thing you find out, you see the person like I mean, Tsukasa, for all you know, is a dude, and then you find and is in a relationship with a woman in the game, which, by the way, there's a whole story with her and being a little overly addicted to game, because she was avoiding the fact that she was because she's in a wheelchair or whatnot, and there's a lot of her avoiding that, but a lot of distress about, you know, of the main character for being stuck in a video game, and you find out that the character is a woman in real life, and that, along with the Matrix, definitely added to that level of imagination and sympathy with those characters, and the fact that, you know, that's so much the trans metaphor, the you know, desire to wake up and feel like yourself is very
absolutely.
much, yeah, it's very much in there. It's just like, how did I not think of that? I mean, obviously there's the other thing, 7th grade reading Ranma in half and wanting Ranma's curse. of turning into a girl every time got hit by cold water, and
Yes, I remember.
and I was just like, yeah,
this,
no,
this
I would
anime
just,
thinking,
I would take,
yeah.
you have the, just the regular fantasies about, like, only taking cold water baths and just making sure to always use cold water.
Yeah, very normal cisgender thoughts.
Yeah, very normal. And I mean, the more depressing things, obviously, the because obviously I'm not like attracted to. I'm not. Men are kind of a turn off for me, or at the very least, male primary and well, not as much primary, but more so secondary sexual characteristics are a turn off for me. So like, there was also the added factor of feeling like a freak, because the only thing that came close to a sexual fantasy for me ever involved me being a woman and with another woman.
Yeah.
So I felt like some sort of creepy heterosexual dude through a lot of my teenage years, and going on to a little bit after high school as well. And I mean, that was part of the reason why I went along with the idea of going into a relationship, because there was a part of me that wanted to prove that I wasn't a freak.
Yeah.
I find it funnier that I'm more into girls now than I was before. I was bi andro, just generally, Although, as you're the one who told me that I was demisexual, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that explains a lot.
Well, I mean, might be. Obviously, I can't tell you what you are. But I mean, I talk about demisexual.
You, madam, a demisexual. It's his law.
I had no idea what it meant, and I didn't realize that people felt.
Yeah, no, that's a whole nother thing that just doesn't get talked enough about, the asexual spectrum.
Yes, absolutely. Like I'm grey asexual and grey aromantic, and the amount of people that will say like, "Do you mean demi?" And I'm like, no, because it will pop out of freaking nowhere. I will go 3 years not attracted to anyone, then someone will be like, "Hello," and I'm like, oh. That's still a thing within me. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so like with me, I'm like gray asexual and gray aromantic as well, but like for me it's like a weird like gray and demi, like doesn't matter who, I can feel like no interest in sexual or romantic things, but like there are some people, there's like probably like 2 or 3 people that I'm good friends with, who I might become sexually romantically attracted to randomly sometimes for a small amount of time, and then like
poof,
randomly dip out as well. But like
I've had that as well, actually. It's freaking weird. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I got a crush. Okay, let's wait for this to go. Okay, it's gone. Let's play a game again. Let's go back to Neopets.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm still big into like affection or whatnot. That's why I'm just like, can I just like get into a nice queer platonic relationship? That would be like awesome. Just be like, for the cuddles.
For the cuddles and snacks.
Yeah.
I still think the oddest part of my experience here, and is being a parent of a trans kid as well. So because we went, I mean, when Joey was talking Joey, when you were talking, let's actually address you.
So-
Yeah, when you were talking about that, it's like, I've actually had some problems with it at times. It's like I sympathize with parents with problems with the trans thing. I do remember, and this is something he said publicly, so I won't say anything privately that he hasn't said publicly. Or
Mhm.
publicly, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He knocked on my door one day and said, "Would it upset you if I told you I was Pam?" And I said, "No. Would it upset you if I told you I was too?"
That's beautiful.
And I got the shocked look.
It's like, wait, I don't necessarily want to know that about my parents.
Yeah, there was. Yes, I've told them some things that I probably shouldn't have, but at some point,
Yeah.
part of the autistic spectrum, unfortunately, is having to relate rather than being able to be direct. So in other words, if he's telling me a story, I have to relate it to something I know about.
Mm.
So, I mean, it makes me a good listener because I'm.
Well,
really
yeah, and if it works for how you relate to your kids, like if it works for you two and talking about your relationship, then why should it matter if someone else doesn't think so? If it works for you, then what's wrong with it?
Yeah, our birthday. Yeah, our birthday is when, because we have the same birthday. It's also a sure, okay.
Did your like character sheet just get copied and pasted?
A lot like, well, Ozma's met Siren.
Yeah.
He's Siren online, so I won't give his dead name or his real name. So
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
Apparently he came out to me prior, but I don't have a memory of it because a bunch of stuff from that year is kind of gone.
Mm.
But on our birthday, when I had a date with, oddly enough, I had a date with a trans woman, and it was like it was on the cake, and I'm like, what did, and then he's like, but I told you already, and I don't remember it, but okay. I mean, we've worked that out since, but yeah, and I came out very soon after. That was kind of one of the finally the avalanche things.
Like, well, if you could do it, I'm gonna do it as well.
Yeah, so honestly, yeah. We,
Yeah.
I know I remember the exact moment when I decided I had to come out, which was in March. It didn't come out till July. But yeah, I mean, I still get the I'm not ever going to be a grandparent thing, which is weird because I have 2 kids, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that I don't think about Rachel. I do quite a bit, but
So here's back to lost childhood. I know we went away from that a little bit, but I mean,
it's so easy to do with these things. Like, there's so many like little rabbit holes to go down.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like when we're talking about our childhood, I was just gonna say that I was wondering if.
Well, I was going somewhere.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize you're still going somewhere.
I'm sorry. It took a long time to get there. Sometimes we get paid by the word in my profession, so. Uh, the Well, essentially, we've discussed a lot of the not growing up as yourself thing and queer time and how the entire sense of time is different.
Mm.
Um, I don't. Ozma and I have discussed queer time before a little bit, but do you know what it is? Yes, Joe. Jordan?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I've already forgotten what
Oh,
what is.
it's the nebulous place where time is non-existent because we can't be ourselves within it. Uh,
Oh,
so a lot of waiting and a lot of
yeah.
uh, clear time, which is why we walk so fast.
Oh God.
God damn it.
The amount of times I've actually been told that I walk fast for a fat guy is quite telling.
I mean, yeah, I did used to walk faster. I did used to walk really fast.
We got
Damn
places
it.
to be.
You know, but so we've had a lot of discussions about queer time, and it's been both easier and harder for him and for me to be one of two trans people in the family. You know,
Mm.
it's been a little harder on your mother, but on his mother. Wow, did I just miss your name? Jesus Christ, I haven't done that in a long time.
It's
I thought you
fine.
said the mother, so.
Yeah, no, my dad took forever to gender me correctly. But one of the things I was gonna say is that there's a lot of I I keep getting the impression that every trans person would redo their childhood.
Oh, absolutely. Oh
Absolutely.
my goodness, absolutely. It's actually interesting that one of like the first sort of real life trans people I met, or rather the first trans guy I met actually, because I had a few friends that were trans women before I met him. And he was like kind of 1 year ahead of me in terms of transition. So I was kind of like timing myself based on him. And one of the things he told me that really actually spoke to me was if I could take a pill and wake up the next morning and have a cisgender male body, I would. But if I took a pill and I woke up the next morning and I had always been cisgender, I would never do that. Because being trans is just such a huge part of who you are. And it changes how you think about life, how you see yourself, how you see relationships, how you see so much. And thinking about it, yeah, I wouldn't not want to be trans because being trans is such a huge part of who I am, even though for me it does suck that I didn't get to grow up as a little boy, you know.
Yeah, I just know that like look, I've got like socialist parents who are always up or who are always you know fairly up on or try to keep up on the LGBT community, but
Mm.
admittedly, 90s 2000 it was still the LGB and sometimes T community,
Yeah.
and so like uh, it was still hard to come out,
Mm.
but yeah, I figure if I could redo things, even I could transition younger. I was
Yes.
old enough for me to transition. Like it was because I was born in 1985, so that
Mm.
was very much on the cusp. So there is a chance. There is a chance I could get away with it, and plus, I know the messed up, annoying system. And also, I don't care about relationships much, anyways, so, like, that's an easy thing to ignore.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. Yeah.
but, like, the, I mean, transitioning early, it would just be like, that more so as a dream than waking up as a, or waking up in the past as
As a cis.
cis, yeah,
As one of the cis.
as one of the cis.
Yeah, no, I definitely like agree with that. In that it's quite strange in that you know, I had all of these signs. Like I used to go around saying, oh, I'm a better boy than you'll ever be to the boys, or like just say things like, joking not joking, I would look good with a beard, you know, all these things to kind of masculinize myself. And then the kind of the penny dropped as to, because I remember wanting to be a boy but not knowing that being trans was a thing. So it's just like, oh, I wish I was that, but it sucks I'm not. Like kind of like to me as a kid, I understood it as wanting to have pink hair. Like I just thought, oh, it's something that I wish I could have, but right now I can't. Except with pink hair, I probably would have been able to have that in the future. In fact, I have had pink hair, so that might have been more of a realistic goal in my head. But I remember the first time I really felt gender euphoria. And it was when I was 14 years old, and I went to this drama club with my friends, and we were having like a party to celebrate the production that we'd done. And so they said, dress to impress. And I dressed male. And I don't know why at that point I had decided to dress male. I just said, you know what? I've got this fancy shirt with like a skull and crossbones on it, because you know I was a goth kid, like so many trans kids are. So many of us had like emo punk goth things. So I had this goth shirt, and I wore like a smart pair of trousers, and I wore my hair in a hat, and which was like a freaking costume Blues Brothers hat, but I was 14, so it was cool. And I demanded that evening, as a quote unquote joking not joking thing, that people call me sir and treat me like very, very masculine. And it just felt so good. And I remember thinking, this is just how I want to be all the time. And then I tried to recreate that feeling of gender euphoria by making myself as feminine as I possibly could. And I thought, that felt good. Let's see if I can make it work with who I'm really supposed to be. But of course, it didn't really work out. I just hated it. So, and I remember like doing everything like, oh, girls having ideas like, oh, if you wear this push-up bra with a necklace, then it will make you feel good because it draws attention to the cleavage. So I was like, right, okay, I'll do that. And then I was like, I hate my life. I hate this. Why do I hate this? Why do I? And, you know, so, but in my mind, it wasn't a case of, oh no, I don't want to be trans. Like this is a trans thing and I can't be that, because I still didn't quite understand that transitioning was an option.
Yeah.
And I think that if I had known that at the time, or at least known that it was okay as well, that it wasn't just an us and them thing, which is what I keep going back to, that if I had had that opportunity, then I probably would, well, I don't know if I would have grabbed it, but if I could go back in time, I would have screamed, grab it, Joey! Become a man! It's your destiny! You know, but yeah, I definitely thought, right, okay, I felt really good as a man. Let's see if I can feel really good as a woman. You know, there was still the expectation to be cis when I was 14. And then when I discovered that trans men existed, I like resented them. I thought, what the hell, you're allowed to do that? And I remember even after seeing, you know, Dana International at the age of 6 and thinking she was amazing, then seeing something which seemed like, why do they get to do that and I can't? And then it was only that, oh wait, I can. You know, it was only when that penny dropped. And I think that that's one of the things, and you know, when they talk about us trans and kids or whatever, I actually had to look this up because I recorded a video recently where I debunk sort of these gender critical arguments from this guy. And one of the things is saying kids can't know their gender and their identity until at least the age of puberty or whatever. And it's just that kids actually have an idea of gender and who they are by age 4. Now, well, obviously at age 4, I didn't think I'm a boy, but I did have an idea that I didn't like femininity and that it felt weird. And interesting, like going back to what you said about the hack sign character. like I do I do remember like seeing characters that would change and being the chosen one and thinking, oh, they're different to the rest of the world. I like these chosen one stories where they're special. Like, ironically, like Harry Potter, you know, where it is this like one person is like different and special. And I felt that that was me, that I was different, and that like I had all these fantasies about being this kind of wizard chosen one, magical being. And then as soon as it was kind of like, oh, you're a man and you can be a man and that's something I'm allowed to be and I can live my life that way, I never actually felt that difference anymore. I never felt like, oh, this isn't where I fit. It's like, oh, okay, now I know where I fit. Now I know what's so different about me is because I was never meant to be that person that I was pretending to be. It's because I'm meant to be this. And now that I know what my chosen one thing is, and it's just freaking gender of all things.
Yeah.
Trying to perform masculinity was just it. I did it badly. I mean, it was. I went into I was toxic masculine. I was not the good kind. I was terrible at it.
I was, I guess, I don't know how good or bad I was at it. I just know that because of the physical dysphoria, I just wore baggy clothes that um, the less I can pay attention to my body, the better.
Oh yeah,
Record timing in the showers.
Yes.
Or not showering at all for a year at one point.
Yeah. No, the yeah, both of those things, but well, not a year. No, I don't think that would happen to me for a year.
I'm
but,
on 5 at the moment.
No, that's why when you're talking about goth stuff, I'm just like, in parts of my personality, yes. In terms of my outfits, no. I just
no.
I didn't feel like I could connect with the style because I didn't know, partially because I didn't know how I felt about myself, so I just felt like even if I dress in a style, I'm not really, I wouldn't be doing it because I wanted to. I was at least I think I was always like to some degree aware that like I didn't like a lot of any of the options that seemed available to me.
Yeah.
Every time I talk about anything I wore, because it was always strange things, because I always did like the andro stuff, and the few pictures that exist of me, mostly when I was be under 10, even that shows me as being quite androgynous. And I was short too, so that didn't help. I mean, that didn't help for assimilation. One of the reasons I don't mind using the word queer is because it was used against me, and I have my one trans friend who's the same age as me. She hates the word because it was used against us.
I like to call myself queer because I feel like there are too many labels and it takes too much time, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm queer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Do you want me to say I'm queer, or do you want me to say I'm grey A romantic, but with a slightly feminine lean? However, I have had partners that are masculine, feminine, and non-binary. So, I mean, I've not noticed a preference, but I don't know. Like, I think queer just kind of sums that up a lot easier.
Yeah, for me it would just be like gray asexual. I'm probably gray aromantic, uh, girl flux, lesbian, trans woman would be like how I would describe myself. Like that's the best. Like, but that's just like that's too much. I'm just gonna be like, it's just so much easier to be just like, yeah, I'm queer.
Yeah, queer. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's actually interesting because I was kind of looking through these old pictures because I've got a friend that's making trans or rather like anti-gender critical comics, and he sort of wanted me to, well, he was wanting everyone really, but I helped to find these sort of examples of things that gender critical guys had said. And I have found one where this guy was going gay, not queer, and doing that whole, anti, it's only genital preference or whatever stuff. And I remember saying, well actually, I like to say queer because for the reasons that we just said, it's so much easier than saying like all these different things. So like, why is that bad? And then the guy just said, I don't find narcissism attractive. And I thought, what?
Wait, what?
That was the response. And I said, well, what does you not wanting to fuck me have to do with any of this? And then he said, you gave me details about your sex life, to which I said, no, I didn't. I just said I was asexual. I said I was queer because of da. You don't know what I'm getting up to. And ironically, it's the same freaking argument as you can be gay all you want, but just keep it in the bedroom. And instead, perpetuating it against me. And the guy was like a cis gay guy. I'm like, do you not hear how you're just recycling the same crap, but just turning it around? You're not going to get good boy points for this.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet, but I did watch the video that you were initially reacting to. It was very bizarre to me because I was like, attracted to body parts? That's kind of how I operate.
I know. It was quite funny because like in the video, of course, like I watched the whole thing and I kind of like he only ever speaks for 2 seconds before I'm like, right, another thing to debunk. But like one of the things that he said was, I would be far more attracted to a, in his words, pre-op trans woman than I ever would be a trans man. And I was there thinking, but this is a hypothetical trans woman. If you have made up a trans woman that doesn't exist in your head that you want to fuck, of course you're going to say they're more attractive to you. Like, you're not talking about how we are in reality. And it's just assuming things about our bodies, about our identities, about how we have sex, about how we interact, and just having all of these ideas based on people that don't fucking exist.
Well, yeah. I mean, by the way, sorry, I forgot to add things to the queer stuff because arguably, because like male secondary sexual characteristics are the turnoff, and like I don't care boobs or no boobs or whatever. So there's various aspects regardless of gender presentation of like non-binary that also apply. So it could be arguably like then you can start getting into the bisexual lesbian type arguments because yes, lesbian is the best way to describe things for the physical side of things, but like emotional, like I mean I could make arguments for depending on the non-binary person for like several different variations of non-binary that are an option.
Yeah.
When I get like really complicated into things, but ultimately like doesn't fucking matter as much as the fact that we're not cishet and therefore we will be considered outsiders by far too many people.
Well,
Yeah.
they're just cis-hets are boring. They don't even choose their own names.
It's like, nice name. Did your mum give it to you?
Yeah, Harry's joke is just—it's always there, it's sitting waiting for.
Yeah, well, or nice gender. Did your dad pick it out for you? Because it's only by the chromosome.
Oh my god.
Well, you're on Turf Island, so.
Yeah. By the way, we are in the off-topic level of things, but now my brain is on Turf Island, and my favorite joke, which is about the was it the UK plague? And it's just like, oh, J.K. Rowling has a name.
Oh my goodness.
Oh dear. She.
Yeah, no, I feel sorry for you for being on Turf Island, because like, fucking like they went heavy to try to prevent and succeeded at the very least. I assume it's still in place to prevent children from, or anyone under 18 from being able to transition or to be able to give consent for transition.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of this issues with the whole, puberty blockers and not wanting kids to transition, I do feel like a very decent part of it is that they don't want trans people essentially to be able to pass as cis. And I think that that's where a lot of it comes into it, because, like, for example, I went through a female puberty before I've now gone through a male puberty. And as such, like, there are some parts that definitely make me feel more euphoric now, but there are some things that are going to change. And, like, if you look at Kim Petras, for example, she was somebody who was able to access blockers and go on hormones at the age of 13.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, because obviously if you are able to go through your first puberty, which, ironically, that's how I feel, when you've got Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage. That's kind of how I feel about my first puberty. That's not how I feel about testosterone. Testosterone's undoing the freaking damage.
Yeah.
That got the same feeling about it. It's
same.
The diary entry, I know I've probably said this before, but the diary entry I have, because I had gynecomastia. I'm
Gynecomastia.
It's gynecomastia. I'm intersex, so technically, but they don't care. So, my diary entry when they was that my maybe my body is trying to fix itself, because what did I know from nothing. But
yeah. And which, by the way, I should mention that book has been quietly taken off of Target's thing, at least last time I checked.
It is seriously bad. Like, it's seriously harmful. Like, obviously, because it's just a hell of a lot of transphobic bollocks about trans men,
Well, like,
that's what it is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so And obviously they can't give you agency.
No,
But I
no,
mean,
of course not.
because they still see you as a woman, and women
Exactly.
can't have agency.
Exactly, because that's where it comes into it. In that, because if we're looking at this just from a purely gender critical, turfy point of view, the way that they see it is that, you know, trans women are all just these evil perverts that want to access women's spaces, and trans men are these, you know, vulnerable children that are trying to break off the shackles of misogyny by becoming men. And it's like, I didn't just like come out as a man that like it wasn't like somebody's like driving along the street goes, all right darling, they went, actually I identify as a man, and they go, oh sorry my good sir, you go about your day and have a nice one. You know, like that's just it's not how it works. Like I very much interact with the world as a trans man, which is different, you know, which is different to how a cis man will interact with it. And because they sort of paid this in different ways, it's interesting because the way that they treat me as a trans man is I get half of them telling me that I've been manipulated and tricked by the trans cult, because obviously it wasn't the fact that I was having all these weird gender feelings when I was a kid. No. I was just told that I had to transition and went along with it. You know, it's either that or I'm one of the people trying to trans others. And it's like, at what point during my transition did I stop becoming the victim of being trans and start being the transer? Like, that's at what point did I make that switch?
Do you think I went to the Indigo Girls concert and I got my certificate. So
So,
I played Pokemon Red and you could only play as a boy, so you know that was it for me.
yeah, no. The other thing is, then they because like right after they did the you know, people can't consent to transitioning below 18, they tried to fight for people under 25 to be able to transition because they just don't want trans people.
Yeah, that's it. Is that they, you know, they play it all they want. They always go, oh no, like for example in you know, freaking J.K. Rowling's hate manifesto, she goes on about how she knows genuine trans women who appreciate that they had to go through all this rigorous testing to make sure that they were truly trans. You know, and it's like, well, that's just medical gatekeeping. That's just stopping us from being able to access what we need. And I feel, at least, and I've had this from many other people, that we were kind of challenged too much. Like one of the things that one of my, and this is one of the doctors at the gender identity clinic in London, one of the things that he said to me was that I should learn how to ride a bike, and that if I learned how to ride a bike, that would give me a certain level of independence that I needed. I still don't know how to ride a bike.
What?
I don't plan to, but I'm still a man. Like,
yeah, no.
the amount of, and this is the same clinic that Kira freaking Bell went to. Okay, so I have no idea what the hell kind of experience she was talking about, because I got told I had to learn how to ride a freaking bike.
No, so like when it comes to things, obviously if you're non-binary to any degree, that makes things even more frustrating, but there are always elements of financial gatekeeping, because there is because I was diagnosed in 2010, 2011, I want to say, maybe 2012 or whatever, whenever gender identity disorder was still on the list.
A thing. I was diagnosed with that too.
Yeah, so yay! like you know, back when getting on hormones required me to dress as a woman full time for like 6 months to a year. There's no like millions of different problems with that now. Like, the societal pressure, the like being able to financially make sure to be able to purchase clothes, as well as the $100, $120 worth of hormones, since they weren't covered oftentimes. So like, or partially covered maybe at most. So like, $150 is not uncommon. Even upwards of 200 maybe. No, I think the estradiol dropped down quite a bit. Whatever.
I pay $1.30 for a month's worth of estrogen. So.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, yeah, I have to pay like a standard because where we have the NHS. So obviously all of my appointments are free, but I would still have to travel from a city in the south of of the UK. I would have to get a train to London, and then travel within London. So all of my travel expenses just for one appointment would be £40-50, which is about $80 here or there. And then and for quite a few times they would look at me and be like, we still think that you should like go around as a man a little bit longer just to make sure that it fits.
Yeah.
And just to have to pay all of that money to get there, just to have them do that, it was incredibly frustrating. And there were a few times that I would just leave in tears because I'd be thinking, why aren't they taking me seriously? And it's actually quite interesting because like the thing is that I'm now kind of I went through so much gatekeeping. Like I went through medical gatekeeping, and for a while when I was 17 I was sort of mocked online as a fake boy for because I was pre-transition, like going around as a guy. So I dealt with like so many people telling me that I wasn't masculine enough to count. And now I'm kind of like paraded as like one of the valid trans men among the same people that would gatekeep. And it's like, no, like, and they'll be coming out with like things against non-binary people, like, oh, well, you're a man, you've got a beard and you're doing proper manly stuff, so therefore you're valid, but non-binary people aren't. And it's like, hold the fucking phone, mate. Don't you be talking about my non-binary siblings that way. Like why is my dysphoria more valid just because it suits what a cisgender person thinks a man should be? Why is the fact that I like being masculine, why does that make me more valid? It absolutely freaking doesn't. Sorry, go on.
I always say that that I wanted the gatekeeping for myself. That was something. I mean, it was the system. I mean, even in 2018, when I came out, and I got approved in February of 2019. So.
Wait, what day? February?
The 28th.
Okay. So that would be, wait, the 28th of February?
No, the 22nd. What am I thinking?
22nd of February? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, was it a leap year?
2018? No.
Okay. So 6. Okay.
Oh no, maths.
Sorry. You got approved.
It came out in July. So July 9th. July 9th.
Yeah, but you're talking about February 2018 that you got approved for hormones, right?
February 2019. I've only been on just...
February of 2019?
Yeah, I haven't been 2 years yet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get approved for estrogen until May, so...
Well, I forget,
like... It's more of a physical thing.
I forget how I forget that you haven't been on hormones that long.
No.
That could definitely be taken as a compliment.
Thank you. It's relatively recent. I've got. I mean No, I'm not gonna even go there. online coming out was very minimal. Because although as of this afternoon, it's like 12 people I'm sub to online is came out. It's like, or on YouTube came out, 12 and counting.
Transing the ball.
Yeah. No.
We
Look,
somehow
not
managed to
all
find
of
each other.
them.
That's the deal, isn't it?
Not all of them. I was gonna say I trans Sterling, but like, let's be honest. That's much more likely to be to have been. Um, wow, I'm forgetting everyone's name. She's been on the Gymquisition forever. She was out like years ago too. Laura K. Buzz.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're recording this on Saturday, and a few hours ago, the founder of Philosophy Tube came out publicly, which was like, oh, this. My first reaction was, oh, this hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, quite a few people said, because I will admit I never actually watched her stuff. So it was kind of like one of those ones where I was like, I know that this is one of these YouTube channels I need to eventually watch, but there are so many that I'm watching right now that like I'll get round to it. And now that she's come out as trans, it's like, well, now I'm obligated as a trans person.
I've been watching since the Descartes video. I was one of the first 200 subscribers.
Cool.
So.
I've been on and off. I did watch Philosophy 2 was one of the people I watched super early on, and I can't remember how early on. Back when she was doing more just teaching, basic teaching of the
the kitchen table videos.
What?
The kitchen table videos where she was just sitting at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And talking into the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really early on.
So I watched then for a bit and then stopped for like a couple of years or something.
It's just one of the, I was saying to you, I said to Sarah Zedig earlier, who was another one who came out, I think about the same time I did. And
yeah, no, no, it is interesting how many, the more it becomes well known, the more people are able to see it as an option and are able to better self-reflect, and the more trans people are included in parts of communities like BreadTube or whatnot, or any sort of left-leaning YouTube area, it's a lot. The more people who are visible and you are aware of, the easier it is for us to be seen as people versus like an insignificant other. Which, I mean, like, people with because there's plenty of people who are still othered. I think even Peter Dinklage is still othered to some degree, like a special exception to some degree, just because of the rarity of visibility, and that's why visibility is so important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What was like, as I was saying earlier, like the first representations I had of trans people were Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
So the only thing I knew about Jerry Springer is that revealing, not Jerry Springer, I mean I knew a fair bit about him, I reckon. But the only thing that I knew about trans people was that they were people that once they revealed that they were trans, it was a shocking, horrific revelation. It was like saying, I'm actually Shrek,
Yeah.
or something. It was, it was always, and of course, like 9 times out of 10, they were trans women because of the, trans misogynistic hypervisibility of trans women. And then, of course, it would always react to them having violence and like the ding ding, it was never like oh my God, it's a trans woman being attacked just for being trans. It was oh, they're actually a man. Let's watch them fight over it. Which is that's just a really horrific introduction to transness for any kids. And even when there were trans men, it was never like, I'm actually a trans man. I hope you can love me as the man I am. It was all, I'm actually a woman, word for word. Like every single reveal, it was always, I'm actually birth gender. It was never, I'm trans, this is how I live, and I love you regardless. It was, and I do remember just there being one that really stood out to me where it was a supposed son who was a trans woman. So like she was there to say, I'm actually your daughter, to a mother that she was separated from. And the mother was just so happy to see her and was hugging her and going, oh my God, you're beautiful. I'm so happy. Exactly, right? And I remember just like thinking, yes, like even as a kid thinking, oh my God, this is what I want to see. And it was so nice and wholesome to see like just like them crying and hugging each other compared to this sudden disgust that we're around,
Yeah, and the disgust thing I mean, it was brought up better in the Netflix documentary, which I can't think of the name of, the trans
Disclosure.
What?
Disclosure.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
that's it.
they brought up the whole disgust being the assumed reaction.
Yeah.
In 1986, at my first convention, science fiction fantasy part, was in Boston, and I wound up hanging out with the trans girls all weekend, which of course I did. I didn't realize they were trans. I just I'm gonna hang out with this bunch of people because I relate to them for whatever reason. But I went back to the room with somebody, and I got made fun of briefly for it. And it's like, I don't understand your point.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what? So, I had a lot more to say in here, and I'm completely blanking. I'm sorry. This is one of those stories I got to get into in long form more than just saying it.
You're fine.
Well, no, I mean that seems to relate to some degree to as well to the sort of, because okay, trans women and trans men get treated as either by a lot of people, like both men and women.
Yeah.
So like it's the same sort of thing as men and women can't just get along and hang out to be friends. So therefore, you must have been sexually attracted to her. Therefore, you're gay. And attracted to see, like, there's several layers of she's treated a woman as a woman psychologically, instinctually in these two ways, but in this way, you should feel ashamed if you were even if you were just hanging out with her because penis. Even if she doesn't have a penis.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't care. I mean, she told me at some point, and I
Yeah,
did.
well, I mean, you were just hanging out, like friends do, and
Well, I mean, at the end of the weekend, there was going to be an encounter, but it didn't happen.
well, I mean, okay, but
But yeah,
it
that's
shouldn't
what we were.
it
That's
shouldn't
what we were in the
matter.
room. That's what we were in the room for, and that's what she disclosed at
Oh,
that
okay.
time. So I'm sorry. I told you this is more of a story than I realized. I went into it, and I went, "Oh shit, this is a really long
Oh no,
story."
reverse.
Yeah.
Blind alley there. Yes, I always found trans people. That was one of the things I was good at, I suppose. My
Yeah.
both my first band partner and my current one are both trans, and both of them. Well, one of the few times I disclosed before I came out was to my first band partner, who came out to me as trans, and I was like, "Yeah, well, guess what?" And neither one of us were going to come out at all. That's another thing that is. I have no idea what started the cascade. Damn it!
Look,
Because she came out almost a year to the day before I did. So
look, it's I yeah, for me it's different.
Mm.
With me it was everyone I befriended, chances are anyone who I'm good friends with, or most of the people I'm good friends with, are either on the asexual spectrum or are bi. Most of the people. Savaris is the one weird exception, but
Yeah, I feel like queer attracts queer.
yeah,
Like we will you will find that you'll have a group of friends and none of you will be out, and then eventually it's like, oh, every single freaking one of us is queer. We didn't know it. Like even now, thinking about my closest group of friends that not meeting up currently because of good old COVID, but even if I say my Dungeons and Dragons group, which is pretty much only consistent of my best friends, I'd say we're about 80% queer, probably.
yeah,
It does attract each other. And again, most of them are people that I met when I was 16, where we were still kind of closeted. Like they knew me before I came out as trans, or at least the queer ones did. The cishet ones came along later. We just let them join for fun. But so. And then, of course, another one of them is non-binary, and they only actually came out recently. Like, I actually helped them sign their docs to change their name. So it is kind of one of those, we just instinctually kind of orbit around each other. Like, I got the trans vibes from you. Like, I
it
actually
must
got.
be.
I was gonna say
Oh,
I got trans vibes from a colleague a while back. I just got that vibe, And then when I said, I just thought I'd go, oh, what are your pronouns, by the way? And then their eyes lit up and they went, oh, they them, and I was like, yes, damn it. That was like a golden moment for me.
yeah,
it is very weird. I mean, this is a very queer house. I mean, my ex-wife and her fiance and my kid. So half of the place is trans, and in a few weeks, three of the five will be three. Four of the five will be openly bisexual or pansexual.
Mm.
So, and the other one is too, but just doesn't act on it ever.
yeah. So the two friends I've kept in the or most contact with since high school, one of them is bi, the other is asexual and aromantic. Another person, the one person, or not the one person, the person I first dated, and who's still good friends, who's my roommate, she's bisexual or pansexual, whatever. And then childhood friend, who I started to keep in contact more, is demisexual, and like
Queer attracts queer.
yeah, I know. I just seem to like Christy attracts all the trans people, and I attract all the people on the asexual spectrum. So like, this is how we connected to each other, and ended up on the same show. Actually, Christy, you were technically the second choice.
Yes, no, but
just rub it in, why don't you?
No, you've never told me who the first choice was, and
it was
you've never told me. I was actually keeping that as a
god damn it
thing.
Degenerate.
That could be half of us.
No, on Twitter, I think she has degenerate thing or whatever, or degenerate.
So Lapis.
My brain is like she's been on the show.
Yeah, no,
we've talked with her. Yeah,
she's been on mine too. So
yeah, no, it's just because I had talked with her more, so like I'd felt. That's the only reason why she's the first choice, and like she didn't get back as much, so you were like number 2 on the list, I think. Christy, or at the very least, you're the only other person I remember asking. I know I asked more than just you two, but
okay.
I don't know where I was going with this. I was just remember. I wasn't trying to like. You are the better choice. I know that now. I know you better, Christy. Like, I didn't mean it like the demeaning way. It was just facts.
All you knew of me was a little bit on Twitter, because I wasn't really on Twitter yet, and I had waylaid you to come on my channel to talk me through something.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you.
Yeah.
And the reason I had you on was because I didn't know you, which was I wanted someone who didn't have a fixed idea of me already to try and articulate what I was going through.
Yeah, and like. Yeah, and I hadn't like talked to that many people. I started socializing with people more a year before the show started, less than a year before this show started. So like I'm like, Ileani was just like, yeah, you know more trans people. I'm like, I mean, I talked with a couple. I've been in a couple like show related stuff. No, I mean it was more than a couple. Like a lot, or like a lot of the people I befriended from the Jake instant, which is what I shall call it always now. In a lot of those people turned out to be trans as well, so that's me socializing with more people created more of a trans connection.
I was on trans Twitter for a fair amount before I came out, so
yeah,
I decided I needed to come out in March, at the end of March, and I started following trans people on Twitter and becoming part of that.
See, this is quite interesting, because in terms of my coming out and the trans people I knew in real life, I really didn't actually know that many. And for a while, I was the only trans person that I knew.
Yeah.
And I was out as well. Like I was out as a trans person, and then suddenly all these people were like coming out as trans, like friends, like online friends, and also real life friends, and all of that. And of course, like the real life friends knew, but I was also like, because I had a higher level of testosterone anyway, and if I used the right amount of eyebrow liner, I could make my moustache look thicker before tea. I managed to pass a cis online for a while. And as such, I just let people think I was cis because it was a lot easier than being like, oh, I'm a trans man, and having people argue as to why that didn't count. And then all of my friends were suddenly coming out as trans, and they thought I was cis. And then after a while, I started posting about being trans, and then they were like, wait, what the fuck? You were here this whole time.
I thought you were cis for a long time.
Oh, I actually had that today. I got a comment because I had a little bit of an issue with this cis coverage of trans issues, and I just kind of stepped forward and I said, look, as a cis guy, you really need to like step back and let trans people talk about this, because you may be doing more harm than good, all of that. And then somebody came in just going, I think trans people can speak for themselves. You don't get to say us when you're talking about trans people. And I went, no. Like, look at my YouTube channel for 2 seconds. You'll see a huge trans flag. It's like when TERFs try and get to me by telling me that I don't pass, and I'm like, look, I pass too well even within my own community sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember once like just getting a bitter, oh, I hate it when cis het guys like think they have a smart opinion, and I was like, I'm neither of those things.
Who was it? Yeah, there are 3 people I've so far outed as cis, and they weren't. And I'm pretty sure you're one of them.
That's fine. I won't take it as too much of an insult.
No.
Oh.
I only remember one other, is just Caitlin Spice. So.
The irony was is that I'm pretty sure that the person today telling me that trans people can speak for themselves and like basically telling me to shut up, I'm pretty sure that they were cis as well. Just the irony of a cis person telling a trans person to shut up about trans issues on the profile, on like the comments of another cis person's video. It was just, I was just like, mate, just look at my YouTube for 1 second. just one.
Well, I mean, that is to some degree, so long as we end up othered, it's a lot easier to not actually listen to us.
Yeah.
The I mean, I can't tell one way or the other. I have such a blindness for this, for whether someone is trans or not.
Yeah.
Well, quite literally anybody could be.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's anyone could be. That's why it's so magical. We're the sort of out loud, visible transes, and then you got like the sneaky ninja transes going about, and no one.
Well, also, like, I have seen, like, even on reality TV, I have seen cis women who are more masculine than I've ever seen a trans woman. And I say that this woman is a cis woman because she also got pregnant and had a kid, so I assume she was a cis woman. That's where my assumption comes, but that's technically not a guarantee because of the
anyone can come out at any point.
Well, but also there's a trans woman who had whose body didn't produce. It was one of the intersex people whose bodies didn't produce the thing that removes the uterus and ovaries.
Yeah. Hysterectomy? Is that what we're talking about? Or is it just
no? I'm talking about the so the average cis dude at some point during development produces a hormone that tells the body, don't make a uterus and ovaries.
Oh, I'm with you now. I thought that it was like a post sort of birth
No.
thing.
So like she had that and she transitioned. So she is a trans woman who is capable of getting pregnant.
Ooh.
I would if I could.
I'm
Certainly look
pretty sure I saw that. It's one of those things where someone found articles of stuff of other ways to just like fuck with turfs because
Yeah.
like what are you going to say about that, because turfs are always like start getting into bioessentialist, and there are so many genetic there's so many there's so much biological crossover. Like everyone has most of the genetic information to produce male and female secondary sexual characteristics, or male and female. Well, definitely has the genetic information to produce male and female secondary sexual characteristics, and at the very least has all the everyone has all the genetic information to produce female primary sexual characteristics, possibly male primary sexual characteristics as well. I don't know as much about that, because like the Y chromosome isn't complex. It's just a lot of it's missing the stuff to help prevent color blindness, and it also has the genetic information to produce the hormone that stops the formation of the anti-Mullerian duct hormone. So it's Mullerian duct syndrome, I think, is the like if you don't produce that hormone, it's essentially everyone would produce.
I have a weird internal anatomy.
Yeah.
Which they're gonna have to deal with over the summer when they go in there and do stuff.
Yeah.
Time to do stuff to your anatomy.
Well, and
tuck it back in where it belongs.
And the thing is also like the annoying thing is people don't factor in how much secondary sexual characteristics make a difference and how much impact hormones have, because there's a lot of, because that's like every skin cell of your body smells and tastes different because like on hormones, just inherently.
Yeah. Oh god, I got so gross on tea. just the amount I sweat, like just in general, like especially. I mean, it's not so bad now that I've been on tea for about 3.5 years now, and like in the sort of after about 6 months, when the boy puberty kicked in, I would wake up basically turning my bed into a freaking swimming pool. I was so sweaty and disgusting and just spotty and oozing, and I wouldn't have had it any other way because it was masculine as hell and it was disgusting, but it was gender affirming.
Yeah.
It's for the record, I know I've wiped my face a lot here. It's actually 70 degrees in this room right now, which is not the right temperature for this time of year in Buffalo.
Oh.
So it's very, very hot in here, even with the fan on. So that's why I'm sweating.
Well, the
yeah. Why are you sweating, Ozma? Let's get to this. Why we can all discuss why we're sweating.
Well,
I'm realizing I have
sweating,
my towel right on my lap here, so.
I'm probably sweating a little bit at the very least because I am in the door to the room is closed, the window is closed, and computers generate heat. So
yeah,
the room is slowly increasing in temperature as this goes on. So,
Well, the radiator is right here.
oh yeah, that's the other thing. The heat thing is right here.
I have a book. I have a bookcase in front of it just to block off some of it. And unfortunately, I still have the air conditioner, the one that caught fire. I still
Oh,
have
God.
that. I have the that in the window. If I take it out, I can keep my window open.
But yeah, so because smell and taste for secondary sexual characteristics is related to the bacteria that are around your cells and befriend your cells and create smell and well, not necessarily taste as much. Taste has to do with the fact that your skin cells replace quickly and um, they're different. The more feminine skin, the number of skin cells is different, but yeah, I suppose also the bacteria, because there's bacteria everywhere. There's so much bacteria. Your body is more bacteria than anything else.
Oh, especially mine.
Yeah. Well, I have the two story. My taste changed. Not my, you know, taste for pink and purple, but my actual physical taste changed. And it was just a few weeks ago that I even noticed it.
That's really interesting, actually,
Yeah.
because that's not something that I would have considered at all. I have noticed the odd strange change that I wasn't expecting, like feet growth. That was something I didn't know was a thing until like I needed bigger shoes. Like I went from like, I mean, this is UK sizes, so I don't know how it would translate, but I went from like a size 6 woman's to a size 8.5 men's, which was like massive chunky feet.
That's a fair amount.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's like 2 shoe size. I mean, like I always have wide feet. Like I always had like shoes are always kind of tricky for me anyway. But they're proper chunky feet. You know, I've got big old feet now, which I didn't know would happen on T. But it was only afterwards people were like, "Oh yeah, testosterone causes tendons to get bigger," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then like I found out that it also works the other way around, and that a lot of trans women on estrogen would say, "Oh, I actually went down a few shoe sizes," which
Yeah, I've gone down.
I am sad that that wasn't so much the case with me. Although I luckily had like the correct feet width, but yeah, my shoe size stayed relatively the same.
I
So
will admit, yeah.
My friend bought me boots for Christmas, and they're not
like
the
Too
right
big.
size.
like at most
They would have been the right size a year ago.
That's exactly how it is. Like it changes so many things about you that you don't expect.
I
Like
was
I
not.
didn't.
Oh, sorry. I shaved my head before coming out, which because of course I did. You know, I was trying to prevent myself from coming out, which is
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's exact. Well, it's like how I said. I tried to recreate gender euphoria by making myself feminine, and then wondered why it didn't work.
what I wasn't expecting as someone who had gone completely gray was to color back in my hair. Very much not expecting that.
Well, that's one thing that I found with a lot of trans women is that often coming out will just make them so much more youthful because there's a sudden, well, now I'm myself, I can do everything that I always wanted. And it's almost like they've worked a freaking time machine when I see transition pictures of trans women sometimes, because it's like, wow, you just find a freaking fountain of youth and just be like, just gonna pop on a bit of beauty, done. You know?
it's fine. I came from relative. I think my mom started to go gray in her 30s, and like I can see it slowly creeping up on me. So, but I mean, like whatever. I still have youthful, beautiful skin. So, and what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, at most, my feet changed by like half a shoe size in women's.
It's still a thing. It is still a thing. Oh, it's just like I don't know how it was for you. I got like a fact sheet basically warning me of all the different things that were going to change when I go on testosterone, and like telling me also what's reversible and what's irreversible if I change my mind, which is freaking ironic that they gave me all of those warnings and apparently we're not being tested enough. But anyway, I'm gonna put my resentment towards misspelled to one side. and, and the thing is that like things like feet growth weren't on there. Like it did say things like for example, fat displacement was gonna change to a more masculine shape.
Yeah, fat
distribution. It doesn't actually, it doesn't really explain how like the great thing is that like I used to get a lot of dysphoria around my bum because it was like a proper like womanly kind of like the top was like a shelf that you could put your cup of tea on kind of thing. And then when I went on testosterone, my butt got really flat, and then I got like the big belly. And even though like I looked fatter, I was so much more happy with how I looked because the like dysphoria inducing bum that I used to crop out of every single freaking picture that dared to show my hips was gone. And I had this belly that actually fit in with the more what a fat man looks like. And I felt like this big chubby bear, and it was just brilliant. But even then, it doesn't say like, oh, fat is going to do this. It just says fat's going to move. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like maybe not in those words.
I'm still fat, but it's pouching more, which is weird. It's like, okay, that's fine. And I noticed my butt last night for the first time. It was like, well, hello.
Yeah, I always had a butt, so like it's only improved. What I was gonna say though is we are getting close to the wrap up time. So
let's end it on butt growth.
Yeah.
Butt growth.
Let's end it on butts.
Everyone
Cuppa Joey,
likes
where
butts.
can people
Oh my God,
find you?
Becky, will ya look?
Yes, so if you are interested in my stuff, then you can find me on YouTube. It is just c/Cuppa Joey. I'm very easy to find, or you could just search for me as Cuppa Joey. I'm also on Twitter at Joey_Cuppa. Just, flipped it around for fun. So if you'd like to see me talk more shit, you can see me talking shit in either of those places.
And so sub to his channel. It is really good. That's
thanks, Christy.
I'm glad I found it.
Christy, where can people find you?
Christy Abbey's my channel. I'm recording. Thankfully, since we're not recording this, I'm recording with Zanzi tomorrow, which will go up on Tuesday, and then
Zanzi is always wonderful to talk to.
Yes. And I'm at Normality Quake on Twitter. I'm not going to say my music channel this time because I don't have anything new up there for a while. But
you could still plug it anyway for anybody that
if you want to check out like
older
content, you can go to this channel.
Yeah, I wish I had recorded more as in this form. Well, this form has not had much content on that channel, which is sad. Because I made the decision eventually to not take down the all the videos of the music guy, which I'm still contemplating. It's Chris Abbey music. It's like Christy without the TY. That's it.
Oh, and Normality Quake on Twitter.
Normality Quake on Twitter.
And you can find me on ozmainthedark.com, which I haven't looked at or made any good attempts to update. So I will double check and like, I might need to double check in case I need to repay for that site. Otherwise, it's osmanthedark.wordpress.com. But
whichever comes
you
up
can
on
find
Google.
me obviously on the Fluid Voice at least twice a week, both in the Fluid Voice and LGBTQ rants. And you can find Christy on both of those too. And that there may be more of that content, or maybe not. No, probably because we'd be switching days. Whatever. We'll sort that out later. I have my main YouTube channel, Ozma in the Dark, which occasionally I'll post stuff. Right now I'm working a lot to deal with Section 8 housing and other such poor person stuff. So, like, if you... so there... The content's really on shaky ground on that channel. On Twitch, Saturday and Sunday at like 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, I am oftentimes streaming the World of Warcraft Classic raids that I'm on. So, right after the Fluid Voice, oftentimes you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/OzmaInTheDark. And I think, Talking to Nothing on Twitter, or Talking to Nothing on Twitter, Talking to Nothing minus the G. I think that's everything. Okay. As Christy has said, your life matters, your voice matters, and you matter. I did it! I did. It's because, you know why it is. It's because we talked earlier in the week. Like, more than a week? Nah, just use the brain. Anyways, have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.